In this lesson, we're going to work on turning off all of the wireless signals to the devices that we have already connected with a wire. So remember, removing some of the devices that we don't need to have there that might be emitting a wireless signal, like some of these wireless speakers and headphones and wireless keyboards and mice. Either replacing them or removing them completely is an awesome way to get those frequencies out of your workspace. But for the devices we need to have there, after we've wired them up, ensuring that we have the wireless signals turned off is super important. So I'll go over how to do that on a computer, and I'll also show you how to do that on your router as well. So all routers are different, and the menus that you use to access the controls on that router look very different from one to the next. Some are a little bit more user-friendly than others, but how you access them and how you get into them is very similar. So I've included a handout here, turning routers Wi-Fi off, that brings you through the steps on how you can shut your Wi-Fi off completely. So the first thing that you want to do is ensure that you are connected with a wire to your router before you go and shut off the wireless. Because if you shut off the wireless and you haven't already connected, you're not going to be able to access anything, and you won't be able to turn the Wi-Fi back on if you needed to do that as well. So ensuring that you've got a computer hooked up, wired to your router is the first step. Once you've got that done, then we can go about turning off the Wi-Fi completely. So to do this, you're going to have to log into your router's control panel, and this is going to be done by typing in a set or a string of numbers to your web browser. Now it's often going to be something like 192.168.1.1 or .1.2 or something similar to this. There's different addresses for different routers, but it's going to be something similar to that. Now this can be found usually on the bottom of your router, in your user manual. A search online for your specific router can give you that information as well. Or you can always call the tech support or the customer service for your internet provider, and they can usually do all of this remotely or at least step you through it as well. So that's another option. I'll show you what my menu looks like to give you an idea, and I'll bring you through turning it off on mine to give you an example of what that looks like. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is open up my web browser here, and I'm going to type in the string of numbers that connects to my router. So 192.168.1.1. It'll probably ask you to log in. You might need to use something like admin as your username, and admin is your password, is commonly what it is. Once you're in, this is what my system looks like. I'm going to go along the left here and click on System, and go down to, Configuration, and then go down to Wireless. This menu system for this router is one of the more complicated ones I've seen. Other ones I've done have been slightly more user-friendly, but there's a whole bunch of variety. So now that I'm into the wireless, you can see there's two different signals here. So I'm going to click on the 2.4 gigahertz, and right now it has radio checked, which means it's sending out this radio frequency. I'm going to uncheck that and click Save. And then I'm going to go into my 5 gigahertz signal and do the same thing. So 5 gigahertz, radio is checked on, which means it's emitting a radio frequency. I'm going to turn it off and click Save. And that's it. So now the wireless signals have been turned off. Now to double check that they've been turned off, I'll show you on my router what it looks like when the two lights are not flashing under 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Okay, you can see here that under my 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz lights, they're not on, so it means I've successfully turned off those two wireless signals. Now, the only way to fully guarantee is by using a radio frequency meter, an RF meter. And I've attached a document here that goes through my two favorite meters for introductory meters, at least. And I say introductory because they're fairly easy to use, but they're super robust in their ability to pick up a whole range of wireless signals. And they really compare quite closely to my professional meters at a fraction of the cost. So Safe Living Technologies has done an excellent job in developing these, and they're used alongside our professional meters for building biologists. They're really quite excellent, and you won't have to break the bank fully to get one. So if you want to take it up a step and you want to start measuring to make sure you've got all those devices in your workspace and there's no hidden signals coming in, this is going to be your best bet through some of these RF meters. So whatever system you're using, if you're using a Mac or a Windows system, really important to make sure that the Bluetooth and the wireless Wi-Fi signals are turned off on those machines. So I'll show you what that looks like on a Mac, and I'll also show you the handout that I go over some instructions for doing that on Windows machines as well. When we're looking at our Mac desktop, up in the menu bar, there should be a little Wi-Fi icon, and all you need to do is click that and go turn Wi-Fi off. So pretty easy. So that's one signal. There's also Bluetooth to turn off as well. So Bluetooth might be up in your menu bar, it might not be. If it is, you're just gonna click on it and go turn Bluetooth off. Often though, Bluetooth isn't in the menu bar. So if that's the case, if you don't see it there, you can click on the little apple in the top left, go System Preferences, and you'll find Bluetooth there. Click on Bluetooth, and there is a little option to show Bluetooth in the menu bar. I would recommend turning that on because then it's easy just to glance up and see that it's still turned off. You can also turn Bluetooth on and off from this menu as well. So that's ensuring that the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are off on your Mac. If you aren't using a Mac, there is a handout that I've included as a resource on this lesson that goes over what I just did, so disabling Bluetooth and Wi-Fi on a Mac, but then also some options as to what your system might look like if you're using Windows. So if that's the case, in settings, you might need to enable airplane mode if your menus look like this. You want to make sure that the airplane symbol is on, and you're looking for a gray icon for Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. You might also have to go into your control panel and go into network connections like this and disable your wireless network connections that way. If you're going through that way, it should say disabled with no red X. If it says not connected, that's not the same thing. If it says not connected, it means it's still emitting wireless. It's looking for a connection. It's just not connecting to one at the moment. So you want to make sure it says disabled. So super important to remember to turn off the wireless and the Bluetooth signals on whatever machine you're using, if that happens to be a Mac or a Windows-based machine. Now, if you have your cell phone in the vicinity of your desk space and you don't need it there, like we mentioned before, just removing it is the best route that you're going to take there. However, you can also switch it to airplane mode, and that's going to really quiet those radio frequency or wireless signals as well.